All right, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. I am your host, Cardinellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everybody.
And hold the presses. We understand, and we have on decent authority here, that one Dave Chappelle is not only endorsing Andrew Yang and going to be doing a show, but there's potential for somebody getting their door knocked on by one Dave Chappelle. Now, that would be one awesome canvassing experience. If Dave Chappelle just straight knocks on your door, it's like, hey, yeah, so you heard Andrew Yang? That was a horrible impression, by the way. I that was at least a 2 out of 10. All right. But anyway, so this is actually pretty interesting, and we want to see what's fact, what's fiction. Cody, tell us what's going on.
So the new stuff, we'll get to that really quickly. And we'll go over some recap after. So very quickly, so what we have going on. There's an event going on tomorrow in South Carolina, starting at, looks like 11 Eastern, they say, or 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Now, what's significant about that is that later that evening, Dave Chappelle will also be doing his first of 2 fundraising events for Andrew Yang, or fundraising stand-up shows for Andrew Yang in South Carolina. So what caught our eye about this, and a lot of people talk about it on Twitter as well, is it says Dave Chappelle knocking doors for Andrew Yang is the title of the event. I believe this is posted on, I want to get the exact link, but this is the official Yang 2020 Mobilize. This is where all the events are posted through. And the event description reads, join Dave Chappelle and Yang Gang to knock on doors. Dave will be speaking at the Pinehurst Farmers Market before door knocking. Bring your ears and a good pair of sneakers. We will do on-the-spot training as needed and pair new people up with veterans. Try to arrive by 1:15, again, all times Eastern. Now, what's really fascinating about this is why I think it's probably what he's going to be doing a little bit. How much, honestly, we were talking before the show, I would love nothing more than if Dave Chappelle, because as I brought up, about a few hours after this, he's going to be going live on stage somewhere else in South Carolina. I don't think too far away, but somewhere else in his first fundraising event. However, that is an ad Yang can run all across the country. Dave Chappelle walking up to some random person's front door, knocking on their door. Like that's how Dave Chappelle should be using some of these celebrities' endorsements. And the reason why I think that is more than likely what is happening here, especially with Dave Chappelle, is getting back to when he originally endorsed Andrew Yang. They released the campaign released a short press release really talking about it, and they mentioned the fact that Dave Chappelle met with Andrew Yang, spoke with Andrew Yang, and then basically after talking with him a while said, hey, what can I do to help? Like, what do you want me to do? And Andrew Yang said, a couple charity shows. Along the lines, it tells me Dave Chappelle isn't just kind of like, I endorse you, but whatever. Like, it sounds like, yeah, maybe he would do something like this. Yeah, if he does, holy cow, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like the Yang campaign has been really good at tapping into the celebrity endorsements they've gotten. Because this definitely does seem like a great idea that's finally happening that a bunch of the other celebrities should do. But it almost seems like Dave Chappelle almost came up with it a little bit. Does that make sense? It sounds
like something you would just want to do. Yes.
Yes. And so it kind of makes me wonder, like, how can we get this doesn't seem like a very big commitment on behalf of Dave Chappelle. Like, I mean, less than an hour out knocking doors with iPhone footage of a celebrity knocking doors to some regular person's house is pure social media gold. Like that's viral for 48 hours, And if you come on. I mean, there's 20 celebrities where you think that would be hilarious slash awesome if they went out and just canvassed and knocked on doors on behalf of Andrew Yang. That could be, I wouldn't say equally because Dave Chappelle is very unique in his celebrity and his status as a comedian, but could be comparably, I should say, entertaining to watch and intriguing and shed a very, very positive light on Andrew Yang. I don't know why he's not pursuing this harder.
Well, I also think it's important to keep up a little bit, though, talking specifically about Dave Chappelle. This is kind of the guy he is. Like, one, there's a lot of significance to him doing these shows in South Carolina. It's not only an early state. Obviously, you might ask, why not Iowa, New Hampshire? It's because Dave Chappelle's got some deep roots down there in that part of the state, that part of the country. I don't know if it's North Carolina, but somewhere around there. I'm going to get hammered in the comments again. I believe his father was a preacher. Like, he's been around there forever. That's basically like where Dave Chappelle people really know him in the communities. And it's not that out of place for him to do something like this. Also, I have an article pulled up. It's from 2017 from New York Times. And it's pretty interesting. They titled the article, Dave Chappelle is an American folk hero. Is what they refer to it as. But it's interesting. And again, I think one of the reasons why Dave Chappelle doing something like this comes across less as a stunt, if that makes sense. And I'm just going to read the first paragraph here. I'm just going to sum it up. They say, 12 years, 2 presidents ago, he suddenly bolted from his mega Comedy Central series, Chappelle Show, leaving a $50 million contract on the table. Over those years, Dave Chappelle became a human Where's Waldo, as every citing a TMZ or social media moment. There he is getting coffee in Santa Monica. There he is hosting Juke Joint, his live music showcase in a sweaty barn in Ohio. There he is, 2016 Academy Award sporting his homie Chris Rock. There he is at his Ohio Town Hall, attending a meeting on police community relations. And there he is hosting Saturday Night Live last November for the first time ever. And then they get more into the more general stuff. But this has kind of been who Dave Chappelle's been since he originally did have his first kind of big disillusionment with the media, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that was a weird time, man.
But that's kind of what happened. He got fed up with what was going on, decided to go do something else. But ever since then, he's been some guy who will just kind of show up in communities. He's not like necessarily he's not like Howard Hughes. You know what I mean? Like people see him. It's just people been wanting to see him more. So it's the kind of thing Dave Chappelle would do, the kind of thing they say he is doing, and the kind of thing that I think that Andrew Yang needs in his campaign. And you brought up a little bit about time commitment. It's also important to bring up, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier, is that is the first of the 2 concerts Dave Chappelle, or shows Dave Chappelle's doing for Andrew Yang. That first one happening down there in South Carolina at, I think, doesn't say here, I think it's up to 7 p.m. So like there's 7 p.m. Eastern. So just a few hours later, he's going to be in Columbia doing the show as well. Like, this is basically the next few days Dave Chappelle is going to be down campaigning for Andrew Yang in South Carolina. And that is really, really important, especially because it's not the only candidate doing something like this. It is interesting to keep in mind. This article, I think, ran yesterday. Last evening is when it came out. Celebrity star power fuels Bernie's final Iowa sprint. And they go on to mention how Bernie Sanders has done something like this. Now, I think this comes more from the fact that I'm not super up to date with a lot of names in media. All these names I'm not super up to date with. However, they, according to Politico, the luminaries cut across the culture from politics to music to movies and more. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I know who she is. Filmmaker and liberal stalwart Michael Moore, I guess I know who he is. Actor Kendrick Sampson, not super familiar with. And recording artist Bon Iver and Vampire Weekend, okay, I guess I know who they are. Who inspired the Coachella-derived nickname, who are among those who have
but hold on a
stumping
second
for him. So interesting, right? And they also mention on just one more thing, Cardi B has famously done some stuff with him in the past, as well as I think Killer Mike and other artists. So just saying, there are other campaigns doing it. However, I think the Dave Chappelle thing comes across to me as a little bigger and more interesting and cooler, in part because I like Dave Chappelle more.
Well, in part because you like him more. Well, also, I think there's a little bit more of a universality to Dave Chappelle. Okay, I mean, Michael Moore, he's known as basically a leftist firebrand. You know, Trump-hating, elitist-loving, you are stupid for being conservative. Like, he's a very divisive character. Whereas Dave Chappelle, I mean, I don't really know too many people that like comedy. I mean, I don't know too many people that don't like comedy. And everybody that likes comedy likes Dave Chappelle. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, well, I don't necessarily agree with all the criticism. It is worth noting Dave Chappelle has become, for whatever reason, somewhat of a controversial figure as of late, for better or for worse, right?
Oh, well, that's just because he said some things that could be remotely perceived as Republican. That's all. And that's just because we have depraved, degenerate mainstream media that pushes that. Like, I mean, if they try and cancel Joe Rogan, fine, whatever. Yeah. SJ Dub, take a drink. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I don't think people pay attention to that much anymore. I really think that these characters may be controversial amongst the mainstream media and the talking heads, but I don't think with a common person, with the average person. Do you think Dave Chappelle's controversial?
No, but I don't think Vampire Weekend and Bon Iver are either.
Yeah, no, but they don't have the same celebrity that he does.
Well, no,
they don't have
Dave Chappelle. Like I said, personally, I like Dave Chappelle more than those people.
Yeah, well, I
watch
get
the show.
I bet you that easily, if you sampled 100, I mean, actually, I shouldn't try and go into the data, but I'm just saying the name recognition, the actual measurable quantifier of name recognition is higher than any of those, except for maybe Cardi B amongst really young people. But Dave Chappelle's multi-generational at this point. He's one of the few artists that has truly gone multi-generational. My dad and all the boomers love him from his original TV show on Comedy Central. And then young kids like him because of all his comeback stuff that he's done recently.
I think young kids also. I think and not to denigrate Dave Chappelle, but the Chappelle Show was so amazing. I think that's kind of why everyone loves Dave Chappelle. I always say people that were even a part of the Chappelle Show on an episode or two, how cool that must be for them to know. For example, you have people like Bill Burr, Joe Rogan, John Mayer, a bunch of random people who are on like one episode. Some of the music performances in the Chappelle Show. I mean, Talib Kweli and John Legend had a very good performance in that show. I just think it was such a cool cultural thing, and like anything that ended too soon, we also never got to see the bad years of the Chappelle Show really dragging on there. We're like, that's like
where they're struggling for content.
yeah.
It's a slow news week.
The argument can almost be made that The Simpsons ended in 1998 and might be remembered as a better show than how it's gone on forever like this, because you don't have to go through that. Oh, it's still on. No, why? You know what I mean? It's just like wow, it was so great. I wish there was more. It's kind of like, hey, maybe a Family Guy never returned. And not going to get into an argument about when's the right time for something to end, but I think it just, aside from name recognition, though, I just think, like I said, Dave Chappelle's really, like, how do I explain this? It's less, I can come out and do this thing for you, and more, I want to do what I can. How can I? It's a weird divide, but here's the info to the show tomorrow night. The reason why I bring this up, I'll have the link. Anybody in the Charleston area? I think it's related to this first show, is in Columbia. Charleston, the second show. So anyone in the Columbia, South Carolina area, I believe, if I'm reading this right, there are still some tickets available. Only $125. Oh, actually, it'd be $180 now. Only $500. Meet Dave Chappelle. It's actually not that crazy. Anyway, that's still going on sale on the website right now. So keep that in mind. Strict no cell phones allowed show.
Hardcore.
So unless the campaign officially releases something, we won't be able to see anything that comes out of it. However, it's also a campaign event, so that's a good idea. Anyway, I just wanted to point out that's still going on and still available because, I mean, how cool is it to finally see them leaning on, and again, this is celebrity endorsements, one way of putting it, but like if you just have celebrities legit campaigning for you, that's way better than a celebrity endorsement. You know what I mean? Like you can endorse somebody from Monaco. It doesn't mean anything, but are you actually going to show up in the streets in places where people know you?
These are the intangibles. There's endorsements that actually do something, like Cardi B actually sitting down with Bernie Sanders. That's going to create some traction. That's going to draw some eyeballs there. That's going to change some minds. Okay. It's going to bring a lot of first-time voters and bring a lot of people who may not be actively engaged or motivated to vote in this election cycle to actually vote in this election cycle. So he needs to be milking that as often as he can. And I think Andrew Yang needs to be doing the same, because to a certain extent, one time I called this business owner who owned a pest control company, and I was talking about some frustration I'd had with some employees that were at the pest control company I had worked for that I was managing. And he said, you want to know what? If a customer's really, really angry, at the end of the day, you have to remember, we're not hiring rocket scientists here. So he had a really funny phrase that obviously I would never repeat to, the actual employee I was trying to manage at that point. But he said, all I do is I think my idiots are better than their idiots. You know what I'm saying? Because we're all competing against each other here in this, and these guys are bound to mess up and do something boneheaded, something totally idiotic. So I just think, you know what? My idiots are better than their idiots, so we will win. And so in that vein, I think Andrew Yang's celebrities are better than their celebrities. Like Elon Musk is cool.
But that's not.
Dave Chappelle is cool. He's got to be milking this.
But that's not.
I want to see Elon making a Cybertruck that's engraved with the Yang Gang, doing rock crawling through Moab, Utah, all the way down to freaking Los Angeles. You know what I'm saying? And doing some exhibition on a live stream.
I mean, I think
you got to get these people tapped in. If they really want to endorse you, you got to get them to go that extra step beyond just a press release saying, I endorse this person. You got to get them to do that Dave Chappelle extra step, because it matters, man.
This is where we have the eternal argument. I would argue you don't do that by milking them, but you do that by being such a great candidate. You have people showing up and saying, what can I do to help me?
No, but you got it. These are busy people.
You don't say on the phone, you know what, Elon, we're going to reject this endorsement, man, if you don't at least give us a Cybertruck. Like it's nice that you say that's not how this works, man. Like, do good.
I don't care if you got to beg, borrow, or steal. Have your PR person figure out what makes that person's clock tick and get them to do that event, man.
Or just do
That's
good.
Where the intangibles come in.
Do good and earn their support. I know I always come across this psychopath because I say things like just do good and earn support, but I think if Andrew Yang just keeps doing good, he will keep earning support, and you'll have people who legitimately want to come out and lend their talents. You're not going to be milking these people, and they will just be asking
come on.
help.
You're taking what I'm saying out of context. I'm saying try and get as much good stuff, okay, out of the limited amount of time that you have, because at the end of the week, people make or break these campaigns sometimes in as little as 4 to 6 weeks. They can end them in 1 second by saying something stupid.
And okay, if your
You
campaign
know?
is make or break, I don't think some phony half-hearted Uber endorsement from somebody saves it. Okay.
Oh, dog, man.
Hillary Clinton had every endorsement under the sun. Hillary Clinton had like Jay-Z and Beyonce doing concerts for her, okay? You think Hillary Clinton had like...
And that's what kept her
Hillary
from
Clinton-
being an
No, 1
abject
second.
failure.
Hillary Clinton had on YouTube, it was just like an ad that ran. It was like 2 minutes, I think, of just celebrities nonstop saying you have to vote for Hillary. This, like, celebrity endorsements, we're doing a video talking about Dave Chappelle. They aren't like... There isn't a game of, like you said, it's not my celebrities versus your celebrity. It's not you run for president. They have a purpose, they have a use, and they'd say something. But the larger thing that means to me, it's less that a celebrity's endorsed a candidate, now they can use that endorsement to win more supporters. Endorsements to me are more just a barometer of your support level.
Okay,
Because there's only so many celebrities.
That's true, but
there's only
hold
so
on.
many famous people. So if you're getting millions and millions and millions of people to support you, guess what? One in those millions happens to be celebrities. It's a good barometer of that.
No, there's a huge difference between those two styles of endorsements, though, because Hillary Clinton's endorsement of 20 different actors that came into their sound-controlled and air-conditioned sound stage that were driven to and from by their specialized driver and fed their gluten-free craft services
Like,
while
just
they were
'cause you
there.
resent these people
No,
doesn't mean their
it's not
endorsements aren't.
resentful. I'm saying that the average person responds much more positively to a candidate that can bring you the celebrity to the people in a way that's authentic. Hillary Clinton's videos with her endless endorsements didn't ever require those celebrities or her to leave their ivory tower. They never had to leave Pan Am. But Andrew Yang convincing Dave Chappelle to do kind of a show for a people where there's the cheap fundraiser tickets for those that can't afford, the big meet 'em behind backstage. There's a different dynamic there. They're just saying, hey, look at all my rich friends over here in our rich palace saying things that rich people say. And look, we're actually going to hold a show. Or else, oh, look, we're going to go out and knock doors. Or, oh, look, yeah, we will take a Tesla and go mud romping through the Baja 500 something.
You think billionaire Elon Musk having fun blowing money on a custom-made Tesla truck is like the man of the people? He's the Pied Piper leading the work. It's literally billionaire
If
Elon
Pablo
Musk.
Escobar could pull off the title of man of the people in Colombia, all right, I think Elon Musk could find a way.
I guess, like I said, we'll have this eternal argument forever. My stance is I think if Andrew Yang keeps running his campaign the way he is and he keeps his messaging consistent and he keeps winning people over, we're going to see more of this come naturally and organically.
Okay,
Just
I
because
agree with
you'll
that.
Be gaining support, and a good barometer of the support you're gaining is the support you're gaining from just like I said, for every one Dave Chappelle, how many million people you think it takes to find one Dave Chappelle? You know what I mean? That's a good barometer of how many people are supporting Andre. How many million people does it take to find one Donald Glover? Right? Like he's a musician or I guess does he do? I think he does music, but he raps, he acts, all kinds of stuff. You don't find you don't find those people all over the place. You find them in one out of so many millions. So you have to imagine if you start looking over how many millions of people must support this guy. It kind of that's why I look at endorsement. I never look at an endorsement like he got that endorsement, now he'll get more followers. I look at it as, wow, he got that endorsement, he must be gaining a lot of followers behind this as well. We're not seeing who don't get the there's no press release issued when I said I liked Andrew Yang because who cares? You know what I mean? It's just some guy supports Andrew Yang.
There should have been, Cody.
You get enough millions of people, and suddenly it's not just some guy anymore. You're picking a John Leguizamo who's been acting for. We were joking yesterday. I was going through his IMDb. I'm like, man, by the time this guy retires, he's gonna be one of those dudes in 30 years. You're like, he was in that many movies, and he just keeps scrolling down. Like, there's a lot of people that are, pretty unique to the larger population who are endorsing Yang now, and that has to speak to a larger. I think it's no coincidence that as celebrity endorsements started ramping up, and then all of a sudden, a little while later, you're seeing the polls ask more people, and then his support's just growing. And just pick a metric, he's growing in that metric as well.
Okay, I agree. I just think there's some intangibles involved where he could go out and could pursue it more actively. I don't think it's in his personality as a candidate, and it doesn't seem like it's in Zach Grumman's personality as a campaign manager either. So they got to get somebody whose personality is a little bit more persuasive to these celebrity candidates, because I think it will help. So let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Follow us on Twitter at PSP Radio 1 or on Instagram at Problem Solver Politics. Join us for our live streams on Mondays and Thursdays, generally at 5:30. And also, if you want to check us out on our website, go to ProblemSolverPolitics.com. This is Problem Solver Politics. We'll see you guys in the next video.